All right, you guys, today I have for you a Mazda CX-5. I'm gonna show you around this SUV. This is a 2021 model. I like the look of the grille, and I like those kind of like slimmer looking headlights. I think my favorite part of this exterior is the little accent that goes like under the grille and like under the headlights. I think that looks really good. But yeah, Mazda CX-5, take you around the car a little bit here. Has the all-wheel drive. I'll show you guys under the hood real quick. All right, 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. I'll put the horsepower, I believe it's 184. I could be wrong about that. I'll put the horsepower and torque in the screen. But yeah, pretty standard in here. Show you guys the back seat. Back seat is decent. I have plenty of leg room. I'd be comfortable back here. It's just not the most spacious environment back here, but I have enough room and I'd be comfortable back here on a longer trip. Just could be a little bit bigger, I think, a little bit roomier. But we'll hop out here. We'll hop in here. We'll show you guys some of the features. We'll start it up. All right, so looking at the gauge cluster, you have your standard stuff. You have your tachometer, your speedometer, engine temperature, and fuel level. So pretty standard stuff there. Down here, you have your traction control off and your lane keep assist off. Over here, this is your infotainment screen. Right now, it's showing me the music I'm listening to, like the radio station. So you use this little scroll wheel. This is not a touch screen, and that basically takes you through various menu items. This is mostly just your radio controls right here, like scan and tune. But if you want to go home, you press the little home button here, and this shows you your various different apps. So there's your music, your entertainment. Under applications, you do have your fuel economy monitor. This car averages 20 miles per gallon. Your communication, this is where like you connect your phone. This is your navigation. You know, it's like a decent map, although it's not as high quality looking as some other maps out there. And I don't know if you can like zoom in or pan out in this map. We'll go home here. We'll go back to our music. Down here, you have your standard climate controls. You also have heated seats in this mid-grade trim level, so that's pretty nice. These seats are like a combination of like synthetic leather and cloth. They feel decent, although I think these seats could use more thigh support from what I noticed. Down here, very simple climate controls. This is your on-off right there. There's your heated seats. This controls your temperature. These buttons control your fan speed down here. But yeah, pretty self-explanatory. This is how you control your zones right here. You do have dual zone climate control. Right here is your drive mode selector. So you toggle up to put it in sport mode. And this thing only has sport mode. So that's the only function of this toggle right here. But you do have your electronic parking brake. You pull up to engage, push down to disengage. You do have your auto hold. So this will hold the car to a stop if you're at red light. You can lift your foot off the brake, but it'll keep the brake lights on for you. Pretty nice feature. This is your volume right here. A little unusual to have it in this spot and like not up here, but I suppose I can reach this a lot better. You do have a little center console here. It could be a little bit bigger. Some cars offer like bigger storage options, but it's really not too bad. A good size. But yeah, we'll get this thing out on the road and I'll give you guys my thoughts on the CX-5. Put it in drive. First setting off in the CX-5, it wasn't until I started driving this SUV for a little bit longer that I started to like it a lot more. I like this CX-5 more than I thought I would. I just kind of had this impression that it would just be like any other SUV. It wouldn't feel all that special, and to an extent it does kind of feel like every other SUV out there, but this definitely has a little zippy and little sporty edge to it that I like. You know, when you put your foot down, it's like, yeah, we're doing this. This always feels really eager to just get up and move. And it's pretty tossable for an SUV. This engine has a really smooth power band to it, especially between like 3,000 and 4,000 RPM. It makes really good power. It could use a little bit more down low. I thought when I first set off in this CX-5, I thought it felt a little bit underwhelming in the engine performance. But as I got used to it, it's kind of fun wringing this engine out. And as you can kind of like tell, I mean, I can like zip around just fine. It's not like a track car, obviously. It's not like a sports car, but you know, you can like just kind of toss it around a little bit and it'll do its thing. The 6-speed automatic, it seems to bang out all the right gears. It's decently quick shifting, not like that Alfa Romeo Giulia that I drove that felt like a dual clutch. This doesn't feel like that. This feels more like a traditional automatic. It does like shift very briskly and very smoothly, but this isn't what I'd call like dual clutch feeling. I do like this 6-speed automatic so far. I think it responds well to your inputs, and I think it just kind of plants the engine where you want it to be. The shifts feel smooth. Overall, it's a very good 6-speed automatic. So I'm gonna put my foot down. This engine makes very smooth, very predictable power. Like I said earlier, could use a little bit of torque down low, but once you get past like 2,500 RPM, I would say that the power really builds nicely. It's not what I would call fast, but it's pretty smooth and decently peppy for what most people are looking for. For your typical SUV buyer in this class, this isn't gonna disappoint anybody in terms of the power. It feels about average. If you do want more power, they do offer the 2.5-liter turbo engine in the upper trim levels. This is just the standard 2.5-liter engine. I think it works fine. For some people, this might feel a little bit underpowered. So if you want more power, I definitely recommend that 2.5-liter turbo. That's a very good engine. But for an everyday consumer just looking to get from A to B, I think this engine works well too. Gets up and goes just fine for what it is. In terms of the visibility, I have really good visibility in here. I can see right over the front hood just fine. The windshield feels nice and close. These side mirrors are big, and I have a really clear view out of the back window, so good visibility all around. As for the steering, the actual steering wheel has like a pretty small diameter to it, and I personally like that. I think it gives this SUV a more sporty feel, and it responds like decently. I do like the steering. It feels like pretty playful. It just kind of invites you to toss the CX-5 around a little bit. And it's not like totally noteworthy. It's not like BMW steering back in their heyday, but it does feel like pretty connected, I would say, and it does seem to respond quickly. engine revs nice and quick. I definitely like the quick revving nature of this 4-cylinder. But yeah, steering at points nice and straight. They made it feel like you can kind of like chuck this around, and we're gonna try that right now. And yeah, the CX-5 handles very well for an SUV. Definitely impressed with the handling. It's got a good amount of grip, and it just feels really rigid in the corner, and it just inspires a really good amount of confidence. It's a nice little driver's SUV for not that much money. I believe you could pick one of these up for like 25 grand. And for a new car, that's like not a whole lot at all. And you're getting a pretty good driving experience. You get a good practical car. The CX-5, it's an attractive choice. Like I said, not a sports car, but it does have a little bit of a zippy and sporty edge to it that I definitely enjoy. I've been having fun driving this around. I mean, it handles the corners well. Transmission downshifts nice and quick. Holds the gears out. We're gonna try this other corner right here. Yeah, amazing handling. Just really good. I don't think I've driven like an SUV at this price point that had as good of handling as this. It's kind of funny because like I wasn't sold on this car when I first drove it. I kind of thought like, it just feels like kind of like a crossover. I don't really know how I feel about it, but now I can say I'm definitely enjoying this drive. I definitely like how this CX-5 handles. I like the steering. It's just a nice playful like little steering feel. But we're gonna try this other corner right here. It's fun to drive. If you want something different from like a boring RAV4 or CR-V, this is definitely a good way to go. These brakes, I like how they respond. They're not like touchy or anything. I'd say like the bite point is actually like halfway into the pedal, but they still feel very solid and very assuring. And the CX-5 stops like with really good composure. And I'll talk about throttle response when this light turns green. It's pretty responsive off the line. You do have to like put your foot into it like a little bit sometimes, but the pedal itself has like a really short travel before it hits the floor. I feel like they really nailed the accelerator response in the CX-5. It's something that all Mazdas do pretty well. It responds how you want it to. Doesn't feel too touchy, but it never feels vague either. It doesn't have any dead zones or unpredictable feedback. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I really am surprised how well this SUV drives. We're gonna try this other corner right here again. Yeah, it's just like, it just kind of does it, you know? It's like, is that all you got? I can definitely see why this is like referred to as a driver's crossover. I just think the CX-5, it handles well. I don't think, if you're used to driving like a Porsche all the time, it probably won't impress you that much. But if you're, you know, if you're in like the crossover SUV segment and you want something that just packs a little bit more punch than the rest, it feels a little bit better in the corners than the rest, I think that you'll be happy with the CX-5. I'm really not coming up with any other SUVs in this segment that handle quite like this. We're gonna take it on the highway here. Good handling, nice predictable steering. Very good sense of what the front tires are doing. And yeah, it just gets right up to speed. Really doesn't feel like too hesitant or anything. And it's a good amount of power. It'll inspire enough confidence. It's no slouch. Feels very good taking it through this corner. It's actually pretty quiet on the highway, I'm noticing. I'm really not getting like a whole lot of wind noise or road noise. So I'm pretty impressed with like the sound isolation of the CX-5. They just did a good job with like the communication, I think. It's a very tactile feel to everything in this CX-5. Brakes, as I said, not the most responsive I've tested, but they stopped the car fine. I really can't complain with the brakes at all. Transmission feels intelligent in how it shifts. It's really kind of like listening to my foot right now. Delivers like nice brisk shifts. Just always kind of does what you want. Gonna make a quick pass here. There are times when I like put my foot into it and it does take like a second to respond. That's only like once in a while it does that. It's not like all the time. It's like a little bit annoying when that happens because I tend to want my power right away, right when I need it. This doesn't always deliver the quickest kick down when you need more power. It does like sometimes take like a split second or two. But it's not a bad thing. It's not like terrible or anything. It still works just fine. We're gonna try this cloverleaf off ramp here. Yeah, very smooth throughout the corner. Really don't feel a whole lot of body lean. So yeah, really good handling. I'm pretty impressed. Ride quality is like a little bit on the stiffer end. You can like feel some bumps every now and then, but it's not terrible. It's like average, I would say, in terms of the ride. Most of these crossovers do ride like pretty smoothly, and the CX-5 is no exception. Delivers that nice smooth ride you'd expect from a family car. So in terms of the ride, I really can't complain. They did a good job balancing the ride quality with the good handling. We're gonna try putting it in sport mode here and see what that does. Sport mode seems to only change the 6-speed automatic. It doesn't really seem to change the steering or the accelerator response at all, but it does make a difference in the transmission. It holds the revs out a little bit longer, and it waits a little bit before upshifting. So that kind of like gives you a sense of what sport mode does in the CX-5. Feels a little bit more peppy. Seems to downshift a little bit quicker. Right now it's holding the revs at around 3,000 RPM, and I'm just kind of like cruising at 50. but when you want more power, it responds like right when you put your foot down. In terms of road noise, really not hearing a lot of road noise. I think the CX-5 is a pretty quiet SUV. It's like most cars I test where it's not like dead silent, but it's not too loud or intrusive or anything. You really don't notice like a whole lot of wind or road noise in this. So about average in the road noise department. May not be like the quietest car in the world, but it's definitely not gonna like offend your average mainstream consumer. Just kind of bangs out all the right gears. And I never feel like I'm getting like the wrong gear. Yeah, very good transmission, good handling. Just like a zippy, little peppy SUV. Try out this corner once again here. Yeah, it's good. Puts the power down well, handles well, steers well. Brakes well. It does everything well. Really, I can't complain with like any particular aspect with the CX-5. Maybe the only thing I'd complain about is these seats. They lack a little bit in thigh support, I'm finding. The seats, they just kind of feel a little bit tiny to sit in. And this interior could use like a little bit more glamour to it. There are other SUVs that have just like a little bit glitzier of an interior than this. It's fine, but it's not gonna like totally like impress you when you get in. But that's just my opinion. Some people may, I definitely like this interior. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not like the flashiest thing. All right, you guys, I think I talked about everything with this CX-5. We're gonna try out the turning radius and just see how it circles here. Pretty good. We're gonna park it here. All right, so the Mazda CX-5. It's a nice peppy little engaging crossover. It handles well. It feels pretty zippy in the steering. It has like decent weight to it. But it just like kind of like responds like nice and fast. And it just kind of gives you like a zippy, like sporty vibe. It just kind of like darts around a little bit and just feels like more playful than your typical SUV. The handling, it's pretty sharp. The CX-5 feels nice and rigid through the corner. The engine performance, while this doesn't feel fast, the power band is nice and smooth. And this car does feel peppy once you cross over around 2,500 RPM. Acceleration, about average for the class, not powerful, but not dog slow either. It's still gonna get you up to speed just fine. Ride quality, it's on the firmer end, but it's never disruptive or intrusive. It's not gonna bother anybody, I don't think. It's a very smooth ride while still feeling nice and firm and kind of connected to the road. So I like the ride quality. Everything in this car was designed with really good tactility. I think everything feels nice and intuitive. Just a very snappy, very brisk feeling crossover. But yeah, you guys, we're gonna hop out here. We'll shut it off. All right, thanks for watching, everyone.